Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Numbers People Live. I hope you've all had a great week and getting some traction with your job searching in this kind of crazy recruitment market we still live in. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think we've just got to be positive every single day and optimistic and keep on putting your best foot forward. It really is just challenging for all applicants at the moment. It's like companies are making it as difficult as possible to apply for a job. But look, hopefully with the tips I'm giving you on this show, we'll get some conversations going for you. But yeah, it's I'd start by saying as well, look, there's a lot of questionable activity. I put on my LinkedIn earlier that my business, we've been doing a couple of contract roles recently. We were engaged to recruit these roles. We spoke to candidates, got them excited about the role, sent the details through and ghosted. Nothing. No, we've emailed, text, voicemails, just nothing, just being left. So it not only affects people like myself, the recruiters, but the candidates, they're just left hanging, like what's going on? And it's just a mess. And you just think why people, why we're accepting that kind of behavior. It's kind of interesting. And I feel for recruiters, I feel for candidates. It's a tough market, but look, we've just got to be positive, keep on putting your best foot forward and we'll get there. And today's show is all about what CFOs are really looking for. So I was thinking what insight I can give you. And when the interview's happening, I think a lot of you are preparing in the wrong way. So this show is all about, well, today's episode is all about just giving you some insight about how to prepare differently. But before we go on, let me kick off what the episode's about. So you think they're testing what you know, they're actually testing whether they trust you. And today we're going to fix that. And before we go on, I wanted to recap what we've done so far on the Numbers People Live. So the first episode, we fixed your CV. So if I click on what we did that, and I'll put the episodes in the comments for episode 1 and 2 after the show. So you can have a look at them. And look, any questions, just send me a message on LinkedIn, or if you know me, obviously just reach out to me. But we started on the CV and working on that from duties first, responsible for monthly financial statements. It's a bit generic. It tells your CFO what your role was. And we've changed it to outcomes first thinking. We built the monthly reporting pack, 47 pages to 12. Close timeline from day 12 to 6. So we're using numbers, quantifiable numbers, and we got the CEO reading it for the first time in 3 years. That's what people want to see on your CV, and it's good. And we worked on, if you remember, the responsible for, oversee, manage. Everyone's got that in their resume. So we changed the outcomes to money saved, time saved, decisions enabled. And if I show you this as well, this was the resume template. If you want a copy of this, give me a call, send me a message. Since the last few shows, I'm having a lot of requests for this template, and it definitely works well. For CFOs, I spoke to one CFO, she asked me if this is strong enough. This format is definitely strong enough. Obviously, add your quantifiable achievements and make them relevant to your level. But yeah, it has to be succinct. It has to be concise. And that's what people are looking for. And you know, we're in this world now where attention span is minimal. So it's got to have them searching for more. And this, like we talked about the first 6 slides, these quantifiable achievements in here, and certainly work on that. So if you want a copy of this, send me a message. I'll send that through to you. And the intro video, no one's done it yet. This is going to how you differentiate yourself. The intro video on the template, click on the link. I'll show you what it looks like. This is one I just.
My name is Richard. I'm an FP&A manager with over 10 years of experience delivering results for every company I've worked for. I'm currently working for a business called ABC Corporation, leading a team of 5 analysts and managing the overall function. My recent achievements include rolling out a new forecasting tool that has improved accuracy by over 20%. I've led a budgeting revamp, cutting overspend by 15%, and I've recently built a dashboard that has saved the team hours in terms of reporting time. What I bring is sharp analysis and people skills across several industries. So if you're looking for results and energy, let's talk. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to having a chat with you soon.
So we can do this. It's easy. If you want me to help you with this video, I'm more than happy to give you this kind of script. And the key to it, I recorded that on my iPhone. The key to it is record it. You're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel awkward. By the time you do it 3 or 4 times, you'll have nailed it, and it'll give you confidence to do it again. I mean, the video is going to be changing things. One of my daughters, who's 14, she recently applied to McDonald's, and part of their assessment, the first thing is a video, 60-second video, and we're going to see that commonplace. I think across the corporate world, I think we have to put names to faces, and as well with candidates I'm speaking to at the moment, we're on about doing a video to go alongside their CV, just so it makes you a person, that you're not just words. But give it a go. Honestly, it would differentiate you. You see all these 800 applications. You do that, you'll be the only one who's doing it. So give that a go. To recap, and I'm just conscious of time, we talked in episode 2. Sorry, just let me remove that one. We talked in episode 2. Yeah, we talked about the direct email approach. And again, the comments, I mean, the episodes are going to be in the comments to this thing. And so we've worked on your CV, we've worked on your LinkedIn, we've applied for a job. This is the direct approach. So we're going to figure out who the actual hiring manager is. We're going to email them directly with your CV. We're going to try and find the emails through these email hunting websites and platforms. 100% free hack. These mailtester.com or veryfailure.com. They cost nothing. These ones you've got to pay for after a certain amount of searches. But look, we talked about building the list and being tagged with your approach. But the direct email, I've worked with candidates in the past, it definitely works. And you've got to put yourself in that hiring manager's shoes. And for you guys who are hiring managers, if you get an email like that, how would you respond to it? And I think on that episode as well, let me just show you this. I gave you what a direct email should look like, again, with some quantifiable achievements, and make it sync. 2 paragraphs is enough. And it's just to get that phone call. And yeah, just give this a go. There's also a prompt that you can use if you want to screenshot this and use that. Again, I can send this to you if you like. But I know it sounds laborious, doesn't it? But I think applying for a job now is laborious. It's just as simple as that. It's painful. It's just what we have to do these days. But look, and with your LinkedIn profile, we talked about again on episode 1. Follow the tips on that. Make sure your LinkedIn is aligned with your CV, and again, use AI, use ChatGPT, Claude to really refine it. And just search for yourself and make sure yours is better than your peer groups. It's as simple as that. Plagiarize to your heart's content. Any LinkedIn questions, send it through to me. I'll give you 1 2 cents worth for what it's worth. So today, we go inside the room that you've been trying to get into, and I want to give you some insights as much as I can. Really what CFOs are looking for. This applies, if you're a CFO watching this as well, this could be what CEOs are really looking for as well. It's very applicable to everyone in senior finance. And I've included in here what CFOs said after you've left, and the feedback that you probably won't get or have heard of before. So I'll give you some insight to that. And I'm going to tie this into what it all means for you on how to prepare. Also, as well, if you have any questions, if you put them in the comments to this show, it does pop up on my end, and I can try and answer them as we go along. If not, there is a question and answer session at the end. So let's jump into it. What am I seeing on the ground this week? Well, apart from getting ghosted, a CFO I spoke to this week on a role we're recruiting for, he mentioned to me that I still don't know what they actually did. And what he was saying with that, the candidate was just a bit too high level. He was talking about what his business did and he didn't really focus on himself too much. There is all that, I'll stop myself there, because there is that point where you want to talk about you did as a team, but they're not employing your team, they're employing you. So you've got to, again, make it what I did this and the result was this kind of thing. They're employing you, not your team or your company kind of thing. So focus on that. And this candidate just went wrong by just basically talking high level about what the business was doing and things like that. I guess a hard lesson for that particular candidate. Here as well, and I'm seeing this a lot from the recruitment side, rehearsed answers. So a candidate I know fairly recently, he's a good guy. And yeah, can practice obviously all your answers and use AI to do all that before a final stage. And then he went for an interview, and basically the CFO sensed it. His answers were very scripted, and it's like he was trying to think, oh, I know the answer to that, oh, that's the answer kind of thing. It was very unnatural. And yeah, basically the CFO was like, nah, this guy's got all the answers, but he doesn't have any substance. And this same candidate I was chatting to in the last 6 months is a great candidate. He got given this feedback. I shouldn't say it wasn't the feedback every time. We weren't sure we could trust him behind the CEO. So he's had that a couple of times in the last 6 months, the trust thing. And with this episode today, this is what we're talking about. It's all about the CFO, the CEO trusting you. So I've labeled it here. You've been preparing for the wrong interview, because CFOs assume technical competence before you walk through the door. And they're not testing whether you can do the job. They already know that to a certain extent. It's whether they can trust you beside them. A story, a group controller I know, kind of digress a bit. This was a few years ago. He liked employing people from Big Four. So like senior managers, director level from Big Four. He was Big Four himself. And in the interviews, I just started dealing with this guy, and he didn't really ask them any questions. So the candidates were like, oh, yeah, he's a great guy. I really like him. But he didn't really ask me anything. And then when I spoke to him, the client, he said, oh, look, I've been in that job before. I know what they do. And he just assumed because they were in that senior manager or director role, that they were competent. And he was just more doing it for a culture fit kind of thing. So I was giving him a few tips along the way. But those candidates went in there thinking they're going to get asked about their technical competence. And it was very much the opposite. So this is what CFOs and, to a certain extent, CEOs are saying to you after you've left the room. And I want to give you some insight. As I touched on before, every answer was right, but I wouldn't put them in front of my CEO. Again, this is, you can give them the technical right answers and the answers that you think you think they want to hear. But it's all about, can I trust them? If I'm away, can I trust this person to do to represent me? And that's, again, I'll give you a few tips on that. So technically perfect, but the CFO didn't believe they'd hold their own in a boardroom under pressure, a board meeting under pressure. Again, I still don't know what they actually did. Big company background, strong CV, but you couldn't demonstrate your experience. Too rehearsed. They prepared for an interview, and I've put here, but not this interview. And I think a lot of people are generically preparing for interviews and not really tailoring it for that particular thing. I'll give you a couple of tips in a moment how to tailor it for that for the next interview for that job. So and I put here as well, they wanted a job. I'm not convinced they wanted our job. So again, I've talked about mass application energy. We're seeing that they need a job. And yes, for those who are desperately looking for a job, it's hard. It's been a hard market. You might have had 10 interviews kind of thing. You just need to get one over the line. But we're seeing as well, I had some feedback a couple of months ago, one of the candidates didn't demonstrate any curiosity. And that is a big thing in finance. You've got to be curious. And with no tailored questions, the questions at the end were just really generic questions. You can tailor. I can maybe speak about that in another episode about tailoring your questions for that particular role. But yeah, so it's one root cause is underneath all of this. It's that lack of genuine, visible trust. So I'll try to put it in tables here. So what candidates think CFOs want versus what they actually want. So a lot of candidates think they want the perfect technical answers, the deep accounting detail, the complex, impressive examples, the big company logos, jargon. But what they really want is judgment, the ability to read a room, communication, that clear commercial, non-technical communication. Yes, if you're a technically strong finance person, accounting, we should never assume, right? But you can assume that this CFO knows that you can do the job. There may be a couple of technical questions, but you've got to be able to demonstrate that clearly. Commercial awareness, business first, finance second. And that's, I think, a key reason a lot of people don't get the jobs, because they're talking from a finance point of view. They're not really talking from what the business needs and how to get there. A trust and presence as well. Someone is safe beside the CEO, and that's what they want. It's all about trust. Can I trust this person to be a good reputation in myself. And I'll give you some tips about how to work on that. And self-awareness, knowing what you don't know, that is a big one. So technical skills, this is the one line I touched on before. Technical skill gets you shortlisted. Trust, believe me, trust gets you hired. You want that person to think, this person is excellent, I can trust them. Fundamentally, it's senior finance recruitment. You want to trust that person. If you're going to hire them, you're going to trust them to do the job. So you've got to display your, I guess, attributes, attitude, and your ability for that person to trust you. So this is what they always check beyond the technical. And this is what you have to focus on, and have a good think about this. And over today, over the weekend, have a look at this. Communication, can they push back? Will the business actually listen to them? So finance leaders who can't communicate are increasingly vulnerable. I think the future of finance is the storytelling part of it, that ability to say the numbers, what's going right, what's going wrong, and be able to speak to people, not just in your finance team, but non-finance stakeholders. That's what you've got to demonstrate in interviews these days. So have a think about examples of dealing with the ops manager, the sales director, or whoever it is, and what you did. And you've got to translate them, I've put in here, translate the numbers into decisions. So I worked with the sales director on this plan over the next couple of quarters, and this is the result of it, of my actions kind of thing, working, collaborating with the sales, whatever their story is, right? So they're looking for this communication, and think of examples of not just communicating with the CFO or the CEO across the board. The pressure, how are they when it gets hard? Working finance, look, you guys are all under pressure, right? Pressure is bigger than ever. We're trying to do more with less. That is the overriding theme over the last couple of years. So you're all under pressure. And I've put, look, audits, restructures, cash flow crises, acquisitions gone sideways. I think it's about ownership as well. If you can own it and be able to communicate what you did in both good times and bad times, it shows, which I'm going to lead on to next, self-awareness. But it is a stress test, and it's about how you communicate that. The worst thing that could have happened to you in that company or whatever, and it went wrong, things go wrong, right? It's what you did and how you communicate that. But look, I mean, I think everyone wants their next finance person to deal with pressure, and have a think about examples how you can do that. And self-awareness is a big thing. We've probably, for those who know me, there's a lot of micromanagers in the finance field, and they blame other people. And I've seen that time and time again. And speaking to a lot of you candidates and clients and all my contacts are like they always point the book, they never take ownership for them. But the question I put on here is, do they blame others when things go wrong? CFOs, CEOs do not want people like that. Smart person, low awareness is a surprisingly common rejection we're hearing. The CFO needs someone who can own failure and grow from it, not explain it away. And that's the thing, like when you're in an interview, you want to give the best account of yourself, right? You want to be like, oh, I don't want to bring up that failure. But again, have a think of the story, work on it, how you made it a positive. This happened, I took ownership. Yes, it was my mistake. I was busy doing this, or whatever the thing is. And just owning it. Like a quick example, digressing, even for myself in the recruitment world, this was years ago now. I was busy recruiting, and I'd get my colleague's phone rang on another desk, and she wasn't there, and I picked it up and I took a message, and it was a job called in for her. Anyway, I took down I said, oh, can I help? And she said, oh no, I'll speak to who she was calling with. So I took the details down, wrote it down, and being a typical bloke, just completely forgot about it. I wrote it down, day went on. About a week later, my colleague was just going mental that one of her favorite clients had given a job to another agency, and they're giving it to this other agency exclusively. And she made them aware that she'd called in the job. And I, as the most probably senior person in the office, completely forgot to pass on the message. So it was my fault, and I was sat there, and I just had to own it. It was a horrific experience for me. I put my hand up, and I owned that. It was my mistake, and it cost the business at the time about a $30,000 fee. So it was kind of disastrous. But you kind of live and learn, and look, as humans, we're all no one's perfect, but we've just got to own it and make it a positive. And certainly I, as a recruiter back then, learned from it, and certainly passed on messages and focused better, and I was a better person for it. And yeah, so self-awareness, have a think of examples, what did go wrong, and talk about what you did, and make it result focused. This is what happened in that quarter. We lost a client, or we did something like whatever the example is. And then I did this, I did that. Stop. Don't use the words we. I did this. This is the impact I had. And when you can talk like that, it shows real self-awareness, and people want that. They want, again, it goes back to trust. I want to trust this person, the self-aware. And believe me, like in finance, a lot of people aren't. So I see that time and time again. But anyway, onwards with this presentation. So why senior candidates lose at the CEO, the CFO interview and the CEO interview? I've seen this with CFOs as well. They talk like an accountant. And yeah, we see that a lot. Obviously, accountants, you're qualified finance people, right? You are accountants to a certain extent, but it's talking commercially. I've put here the higher business leaders, and they don't want to talk about debits and credits and things like that. Obviously, it's important to your role, but you've got to, I touched on it before, you've got to talk like the storyteller. And that's what you've got to focus on. So have a think about that, or how you can make that debit and credit story, right? Don't just talk like an accountant. And I know you might be thinking, well, that's what I am, Rich. I am an accountant, that's how I talk. But they don't want that technical person. They don't want that technical accountant. None of the clients I work with over the years want someone who can just sit in the corner and produce a report. The finance has moved on, it's evolved. So we need that commercial thinking, and everyone can do it. Energy mismatch. Low energy, you've got to bring the energy to interviews. Like I've seen it before. And for anyone who's been involved in an interview, you've probably met someone and they just look deflated from the get-go. I met a person, and I always remember this, in one of my old offices I think it was in York Street. This candidate came in, and his CV was fantastic. It was ideal for the job I was recruiting. He came in, he looked so timid, meek. He kind of had a really weak handshake. And from the get-go, I was thinking, is this guy all right, kind of thing? And he sat down, and I asked him, is he all right? Is the timing good? We can change it. He goes, no, it's fine like that. His energy was so rock bottom. I was just thought, like, there's no way I can do this. And I think that was him as a person. I mentioned it, and he didn't change. And that presence in the first 60 seconds, humans are brutal. They're tough. They've decided it's very hard to recover the room. So the tip for all of you, right? When you're meeting someone, smile on your face, handshake, make it natural, right? Make them feel excited that they've met you, or you're excited to meet them, should I say. And I can't say it simply here. You can't say it to the board. Complexity is not credibility. It's a warning sign. And I'm going to touch on this a bit. You've got to explain what you do to, say, a 10, 12-year-old. You've heard that term, elevator pitch. Tell someone what you do while you're in the elevator. But if you can't simplify it, you're going to struggle. Certainly, a lot of the CFOs I've dealt with over the years, they need clear, concise, succinct communicators. Certainly, the best CFOs are looking for that. They're not getting stuck in the complexity. You've got to be able to explain it to 10, 12-year-old. And if they don't get it, start again. And I've put here, interviewing for approval. The CFO doesn't want to be impressed. They want to be convinced. And we're hearing candidates where they just kind of want, it goes back to you're just looking for, giving them the answer you think they're looking for. And I put here, strong candidates converse, weak ones audition. They want to be convinced you belong in the seat. It is like in a way you've got to sell yourself, and you sell that by storytelling. And behind every interview, behind every question, every panel, they're quietly asking themselves this question: can I sit beside this person during a difficult board meeting or a crisis? Can I trust this person? That's what they're thinking. A CFO I know really well when I interview for him. One of his litmus tests is like, can I sit on this person next to on a plane for 10 hours? It's how he judges candidates. And I guess that's one opinion, but he wants someone he enjoys working with, he can trust. And yeah, it goes back to the trust question. You've got to give them the trust. So three things, and I've been doing this on the Numbers People Live. I don't want to give you homework, but make your role, right, three bigger stories. Make your role unmistakable, right? So have a think about how I can story tell my background. I'm at a certain level that the CFO or the CEO for you CFOs assume you can do the job, right? There's a lot of assumption. And another, so digressing a bit, they want you to do well in interviews. So it's about having to think about, how can I really impress this person? How can I stay away from the jargon? How can I get my point across that they think I'm a trusted advisor to them? So talk about what you're on, what you changed specifically, not the team, again, what you did, not the project, you. Keep on thinking what I did, and putting the story around that, whether it's in a good situation or a bad situation. The CFO would appreciate it, appreciate both stories. I've talked to her as well. Stop with the generic answers, prepare for this interview. Certainly, I mean, the good thing with AI as well, you can, and I've been doing it in my recruitment business. Tell me about this company, break it down, give me the latest news on it, have things prepared for it, really research the business. And it's easier than ever before to do that. And I've put here, bring exactly 2 questions, the kind you want, kind of only someone who's already done the work reading would think to ask. And again, that's crucial. Latest news, what about this? What question can I ask about that? And at the end, preparing questions to ask them at the end, if you have something that's company related and how it is going to impact finance, it just shows that you're really well researched. And I touched on it before, practice saying things simply. If a 12-year-old won't follow your explanation, the CFO won't trust you to say it to the board. And it's a good point, because boards, they're not finance people, not all of them, some of them might be, but a lot of them are. Simplicity is the key to it. So it's not about dumbing it down, it's the hardest professional skill there is. It's explaining what you can do in simple layman's terms. So look, I hope this helped you. And like I mentioned, you can reach out to me directly. And I mean, it is tough at the moment, and you're probably thinking, gee, getting a job at the moment is tough. Like, it's a lot of hard work, but it's tough. Like, interviewing, it's hard. And a lot of you have been speaking to recently have been in jobs for a while and not interviewed for years. And it's really tough. I say to the candidates I'm dealing with at the moment, if you interviewed me, I'm on this side of the desk. If you interviewed me as a candidate, I'd probably be pretty poor. I'd probably be and emming and stumbling and having mind blanks, because we don't practice it. But the point of these shows is just to give you the ammo and the preparation to do so. And yeah, all of it is just practice. And again, with the tips I've given you today, is just role play them with your friends or your partner. And I know role playing, you're probably rolling your eyes, I'm not going to do that, but talk it out loud. And a good tip I can give you when you interview, do talk your answers out loud. Don't just have it there in your head thinking about what you're going to say. Talk it out, let it roll off your tongue. And I've put here as well, one more thing to kind of finish off on as well, like modern hiring is filtering out the best. And we've talked about this in previous shows. It's tough. And it's not because candidates are weaker, it's because the process is wide run. So 10 reasons. Here's 10 reasons I was thinking about, which I'll just let you have a look at this screen. And yeah, hiring it's filtering out the best. So if you're in a hiring position, have a look at a few of the points here. And there's a couple here. The right look, process favors type, not mind. The right school, the right thinking or character. Believe it or not, I've had that clients over the years saying, "Oh, I want them from these schools," and the candidate's like in the 40s. It's like, yeah, it's look, that's the network thing. People like that. Recruitment, it's interesting. Recruitment is discrimination. It really is. Like, people, employers to I guess, yeah, be discriminatory for them. But look, I guess the nature of the recruitment industry, you have to be discriminatory. It's probably too strong a word. I can touch on that in another conversation as well, because it really is. Over-prepared beats well-prepared. And we're seeing that as well. Like, touching it before, like, candidates are getting through interviews. I'm actually shocked. I know some candidates myself who are okay, who are B-grade candidates who've definitely got the place, getting A-grade roles. And you're like, wow, like, they did really well to that. And they're just overly prepared. They're not saying the wrong thing. They've got good CVs and things like that. So we're seeing that. I've definitely noticed this. Introverts have filtered out early. And I put many great CFOs won't survive their own hiring process today. It's true. I've said on my LinkedIn numerous times, apply for a job in your own company. You probably won't even get an interview, kind of thing. I was talking about storytelling, right? Storytellers, you get the job. You might not be the best candidate, but if you can tell a story, you're getting it. Again, with the presentation I've done today, get good at storytelling. It'll get you across the line. Culture fit is comfort bias. Companies hire similar. Look on the LinkedIn. You can see it, no matter what they say. And companies, I'll put here number 8, companies hire who they like. Comfort consistently beats challenge at the table. It's true, right? People hire mirror images of themselves. And I've put here as well, recruitment optimizes for safety. The safest hire is the best hire at the moment. That's perception out there. It really is. It's difficult, but look, all I can say is, like, let's just keep on putting our best foot forward. We'll get there. And I've finished it off here by saying it's really about whether you can do the job. It's whether the CFO can trust you when things go wrong. So have a think about that and have a think of some examples. So look, some questions that have come through. What does energy look like? Let me just get rid of this. Remove. I'll put myself back on the screen here. So what does energy look like when you're at an interview? Energy, energy, I think you've just got to be natural. You've got to be yourself. You've got to be curious. You've got to be interested to be there. And like, it's interesting, like that simple smile when you first meet someone. Like, people like to feel kind of welcomed and special, right? The amount of people I've met and they've got their mind on something else. They feel rushed or whatever. They've even got like the head down when they're meeting you. You've just got to have a smile on your face. Oh, nice to meet you. And just that energy. You don't have to be like that through the entire interview, obviously, because you look like a bit of a nutter kind of thing. But you've just got to be yourself and confident. I think it does come down to confidence. You've got to kind of not slouch and be confident in yourself and be engaged with it. That's what I'm talking about with energy. Like, we do see people who are just like, oh, this is just an interview kind of thing, and it's like an effort out of the day. And just another comment there from Annie. Definitely, how you deal with pressure is seen as highly valued personal attribute, and pressure more so than ever before. Think of some examples. And look, I'm not telling you to lie, but if you've never dealt with pressure, or you've seen someone in your company or you've worked with and how they dealt with it, try and put that into your answer as well. And how, because I think it's like everyone needs that person next to them to be able to deal with it. Things go wrong. How are we going to accomplish this? How are we going to move forward? And again, that just comes down to character and attitude. But look, just keep on practicing, and look, you'll definitely get there. And I want to close out as well by saying that if you are interviewing as well, just go in there. And I've seen this interesting in the last month or so. The person interviewing you wants you to do well. They want you to have a good interview. They don't want you to come in here and trip you up as you're going through the door. They don't want to ask you curly questions just knowing that you're going to get it wrong kind of thing. They want you to do well. They want to trust you. And that's the key thing. So I think, yeah, probably to close out, have your examples, have a think about how you're going to tell your story, both good and bad, and just get in the rhythm of doing that. Again, you can use AI and prompt it. This is my situation. How can I make this a story, and make it your story? So look, next week, I'm going to just go back to how to survive the 6-stage interview, how to win a process that's built to exhaust you. The reason I'm doing this is that some processes these days are laborious. We've fortunately had a few processes recently where it is 2 interviews, and it's just enjoyable for everyone on all sides. I am a massive believer in 2-3 interviews max. But the 6th interview, look, if you're told up front that's what it's going to be, and how to prepare for it, and the attitude to go in and just to nail every process, and what kind of questions you get from different stakeholders. So we're going to touch on that. Also as well, if you have any topics you want me to cover off, send me a message. I will try my best to cover it off in the next few weeks. But look, have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend. Any questions, you know where I am. Reach out to me. And yeah, I'll chat with you all soon. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.